On this show, I have been known to wield a flashlight in that scary story by the campfire kind of way because, well, there was a point to be made about some creepy political attack, and frankly, I like props. But last night, Craig Ferguson, host of The Late Late Show on CBS, was interviewing an actress named Alicia Silverstone when he needed a flashlight on set for real.
You can just take good steps to get there.
All right, then. Well, we will. Oh, it's getting close to Halloween. This is awesome. We've got to radio, everybody. There's a power outage in the whole building. Look. It took us nearly 5 years to get Alicia to come here, and then she comes here and the damn lights go out.
The man's TV studio lost power in the middle of his show. So did the homes and businesses of thousands of other people in the Los Angeles area, all because of wind gusts in LA. We have an electrical system that can't really do wind in October. Meanwhile, at almost exactly the same time in Northern California, this was happening. Transportation officials say wind gusts over the San Francisco Bay caused 3 heavy pieces of steel that were part of a recent repair to the San Francisco-Oakland Bay Bridge to snap off and fall onto the upper deck of the bridge during rush hour. The flying steel hit 3 cars, injured 1 person, and caused the bridge, which is typically used by an average of 270,000 cars a day, to be shut down indefinitely. The Houston Rockets were staying in San Fran for their game in Oakland against the Warriors tonight. The Rockets had to take the ferry to the game. Back east, the 80-year-old Champlain Bridge, which connects Vermont and New York State, has also just been closed until at least next spring, after inspectors found problems with that bridge's concrete supports. Its closure forced many of the thousands of people who use it every day into 100-mile-long detours. Some commuters even took to the streets to protest. The crumbling of too many of this country's bridges and tunnels and roads due to decay and age and poor construction and lack of maintenance has also now become a major issue in Seattle's mayoral race. Here's what's causing the kerfuffle in Seattle. What you're looking at here is a simulation of what could conceivably happen to Seattle's Alaskan Way Viaduct during a powerful earthquake. And as you can see, the simulation is really scary. Tuesday's election day in Seattle and the outcome of the mayoral race could conceivably hinge on the fight about whether the city should spend money to replace that viaduct with a waterfront tunnel. Across the country, one proposed solution to the whole crumbling infrastructure problem, one that could also help with the whole economy not creating jobs problem, is economic stimulus. Federal spending on infrastructure projects. USA Today reports today that a review of state spending shows the federal economic stimulus package has saved or created 388,000 jobs so far. Meanwhile, the New York Times editorial board argues this week that if we want that trend to continue, if we want the stimulus to continue to work economically, we're going to need a lot more of it. Joining us now is David Brancaccio. He's host and senior editor of Now on PBS. He's been on the road for a special PBS series about infrastructure that's called Blueprint America. Mr. Brancaccio, it's great to see you again. Thanks for being here.
Great to be back. Good to see you.
We are seeing some signs that the stimulus is working, at least starting to save and create jobs. But based on your reporting, is the stimulus having a substantial impact on infrastructure? Are big projects and the right projects being funded?
Yeah, it's one thing is the jobs issue, as you've been talking about, and that's one thing, and it's an important thing. But we were looking at some data that showed that of the nearly $30 billion that we thought were going to be used to fix our roads in the stimulus package, $30 billion, most of it went to paving and widening. Now, I'm all against potholes. I'm here to tell you I'm against potholes. But in terms of fixing bridges that might fall down or putting in new roads where we crucially need them, the really significant infrastructure improvement projects, most of the money is going to something completely different.
What do you think is, what have you been able to find in your reporting when you're looking at infrastructure in a systemic way? Do we have a systemic problem with the way that we look at infrastructure? Are we failing to identify problems? Are we keeping our eyes on our feet instead of on the horizon and taking too short-term an approach to it?
Well, that's exactly the key. Now, in your work, you get to meet Americans, right? And one thing we're not particularly good at is thinking about the future. Now, a bunch of years ago, 1986, I was a local reporter in San Francisco. I covered the 50th anniversary of the construction of the aforementioned San Francisco-Oakland Bay Bridge. And there was very little sense that you needed to do much more to that bridge than repaint it once in a while back in 1986. Fast forward a few years, lo and behold, you really have to work on this. Now it's costing them $3.7 billion. This project that's going to take till 2013 to rebuild a big chunk of it. And it's a surprise that they have to rush parts of it, possibly, so they run into these problems with bits are falling off, which is causing this major consternation. However, that said, even though we have a hard time in America thinking about the future, once in a while we do. When the Bay Bridge is closed, like today and for a bunch more days, it's a huge economic disaster for Northern California. What are they telling people to do? To take Bay Area rapid transit, the BART system. How did that happen? Foresighted Americans back in the late 1950s thinking we are going to spend money to build the tube that is helping us today.
I know that as part of your infrastructure reporting project, you recently went to Denmark. Why Denmark, and what did you find there?
It's fascinating. This is a green story. Why are the Danes so much from the future, right? That's the question. I mean, these people are way ahead of us on a bunch of things. And they want the place to be lousy with electric cars in just a couple of years. How are they going to do that? So there's innovation. There's a wonderful American from Palo Alto, California, who's bringing these cars in, but they are investing in infrastructure. What's the big rap on electric cars? Well, they don't go far enough. They've licked the problem, it looks like, in Denmark. If you have to go to Grandma's 200 miles away, you'll stop at a pit stop where a robot will swap out your battery for a fresh one. Then you can go the 200 miles. It's really amazing. However, it costs money. It requires, it's been a series of governments of all political stripes who recognize that sustainability is something the Danish people want, and they're investing in it.
And it works for them both economically, and it works for them politically, and guys from Palo Alto are helping them instead of helping us.
They think the system could come here at some point, but you'll have to watch my show on Friday to see the details.
Well done. David Brancaccio, host and senior editor of Now on PBS. It's great to have you here. Thank you so much for coming in.
Take care.